Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast, season 2. I'm here with just Chad Himes. Bob Stewart is where?
Who knows, Ben?
Missing in action?
Where he normally is, which is not here with us.
On the Nike store.
Yeah, probably. Waiting
Looking
online
for
for
new-
some shoe drop or something.
Looking for new Jordans.
Yes.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, he is not here. So it's just Chad and I to start off 2022 in the
Yes.
right kind of way.
Absolutely, Ben. How's this year going to go for you?
It's going to go good.
Awesome.
Hey, I want to bring up a conversation that I had the other day
Yep.
with a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell you what I said.
Okay.
Then I want to hear what goes through your head when I say that.
Okay.
Fair?
Sounds fair. Let's do it.
So I was talking to a guy the other day.
Yep.
True story.
Yep.
Is that how you're supposed to start stories?
Well, hopefully you're not lying, so
True
sure,
story.
we'll go with that.
Once at band camp, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there you
True
go.
story. Anyway, so I was talking to this guy. I said, hey, I want to tell you something. However, it's got some good news and some bad news. He said, okay. And I said, what do you want first? And he says, bad news. And I said, okay, here's the bad news. I don't know what the F I'm doing. I have no idea what I am doing. And he said, he laughs and he says, so what's the good news? And I said, that I'm willing to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he laughed again.
I would think so.
What goes through your head when you hear that statement?
100 different things, Ben. So you told me that you weren't going to tell me the story, but you were going to tell me some good news and some bad news. So when you told me that at the beginning, I went and I did some research.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Can we agree that there is probably nobody listening to this podcast that has never said the expression, I've got good news and I've got bad news? I mean, we've all said it at some point, right?
Yeah.
Which would you prefer to hear first, Ben?
For sure the bad news.
Okay. Most people want to share the good news first, yet most people want to hear the bad news first.
Ooh.
Research has shown us that 4 out of 5 people would prefer to share the good news first because they want to start on a positive note. Yet 4 out of 5 people also said they want to hear the bad news first because they won't even pay attention to the good news knowing there's bad news coming. So, according to research, folks, you should always start with the bad news because that's what most people want to hear first to get out of the way.
And we're here to serve. We want to give them what they want.
There you go. And you did just that. Your mentor said to you, give me the bad news. He started in just the right place, just like you would. So I thought that was interesting. The second thing I hear is I love what he said to you at the end, that he's just glad you're willing to admit it. That you are willing, Ben Kinney, that we all look at sometimes and make it like you're walking on water. You know, we just had Christmas, so let's just
I'm
go
super
there.
buoyant for lots of reasons.
That's why, right?
But I don't walk on water.
No.
I bob quite well.
Yes.
No offense, Bob.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Clearly none were taken. Yes. All right. So the fact that you don't know what you're doing and that you're able to admit it should let the rest of us feel confident, also knowing that it's okay to admit we don't know what we're doing and it's absolutely okay to admit it.
So what's the alternative?
The alternative is we don't tell anybody and then we end up failing at it because we don't know what we should be doing, which way we should be going, and we end up staring at the wall for way too long until people are wondering where we went.
Oh, that's interesting. There's a lot of alternatives that popped in my mind when I asked you that. We'll take what you said as one.
Sure, because a choice to do nothing is a choice.
Yep.
Right.
2 would be just walking in the wrong direction for really, really long ways.
Yes.
The stereotypical guy who won't ask for directions.
Yes. And
Yeah.
just gets more lost. Yeah.
Yeah. What's another bad alternative? Everybody around you has confidence in you and they think you know what you're doing.
So they follow you nowhere?
They follow you down into the pit
Correct.
of despair. That's a problem.
Yes, it
Right.
would be.
I think it's just better to be transparent.
Yes.
Like one of the earlier episodes, we said, it's really easy to impress people with what we've done or what we have or what we do. All of us listening right now, we can impress people with something in our lives,
Sure.
but that doesn't get people to take action. Empowering people gets them to take action,
Yes.
right? So we don't want to impress people. We want to empower them to do something.
It's a great message.
So I think by being transparent sometimes, you can empower people to keep going or to do something or to try something different. Because I think everybody looks around and they might assume that certain people know exactly what they're doing all the time.
Yes.
I happen to not be one of those people at this moment. I do not know what I'm doing. because I'm venturing in areas of business that I've never done before.
So I was going to ask, I was going to put you on the spot. I can take some guesses. It was in business. It's something new you're doing business that you were clueless on which way you should be going and what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just outside of my comfort zone.
Sure.
This guy, this mentor that I talked to the other day, he said a lot of things. I'll share a couple lessons from this guy. One, he said, you got to have big ears.
Meaning listen more.
A good leader listens.
Okay.
He also said that failure is self-correcting. Success is what kills you.
Oh, go deeper on that for us, Ben.
You, when you fail, it's just over, or you get back up and you figure something out, Sure. But when you're really successful and you're growing super fast or making a lot of progress, that's what causes like these major implosions.
So is that Blockbuster? They were succeeding and they were succeeding and they were growing and they were growing. Yet if they had failed, maybe they would have learned some other ways and other opportunities. Just the first company that comes to my mind that was growing and then imploded.
Gateway Computers.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, there's probably a long list of.
We thought about the companies that are out there that are no longer out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What else did this mentor drop on you? Those are two great lessons right there. You got a third one from this mentor?
Well, he just started asking me questions. He started asking me questions.
Probably a great lesson right there too.
And I didn't understand what he was saying. I didn't have an answer to his question, and I felt like an idiot. And I was writing down what he was asking me, not because I was taking notes, but because I needed to go Google the words that he was using to figure out what in the heck is this guy talking about, because I had never heard it before.
Okay.
And then I hung up the phone and I bought 5 books on this subject.
Yes.
So that that never happens to me again.
Okay.
So as I was, following up with this guy, I said, I don't really know what you're talking about. I don't understand what you meant. I'm going to go figure it out because I hate it when I don't know things.
Yep.
I'm going to go figure it out, but I don't really know.
Got it.
And I think that that's okay. The important thing is that I was willing to admit that I didn't know what I was doing.
Yes.
And that I was going to go do something about it.
Yes.
So I wrote this the other day.
Okay.
I said, a life without problems is a life without challenge.
Yes.
A life without challenge is a life without growth.
Ooh, we'll come back to that one. Okay, keep going.
A life without growth sucks. That's how you know I wrote the quote. It's like started out smart and then ended up in a dumpster.
Sounded really good for a while there, and then
Let me say it one more time.
Yeah.
A life without problems is a life without challenge. A life without challenge is a life without growth. A life without growth sucks. So what do you hear in that message, Chad?
There's a ton of, each line is a lesson in its own there, right? A life without problems is a life without challenge. I was writing it as you were saying it, as you've taught us to write all these things. Most of us do our best to avoid problems, to not have any problems come up, yet as you
Has that ever happened? Like, have you ever actually been able to avoid problems in your life?
No.
No, it's impossible.
I can go around a detour in the road and avoid but then I just get stuck in traffic.
Then you're just taking longer. That's
right,
a problem.
Exactly. Right.
There's just nonstop problems.
Yes, a problem's always going to show up.
If we're always going to have problems in our life, then why don't we stop worrying about it?
Yes.
So what is the benefit of having problems?
They create challenges. Challenges are then going to help us grow because we're going to have to overcome those challenges and figure out better solutions, which is fantastic. And as you say, a life without growth, well, you say it well, sucks.
Yeah, so when you're challenged, you grow. When you're comfortable, you don't grow.
Yeah.
Right? And if you want to have a really amazing business or a really amazing life, then maybe you need to insert some challenges, because that's what's going to force the growth that you need right now.
I'm thinking, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I'm thinking Mike Tyson, right? So
you're going to bite my ear off?
No, I'm not going to bite your ear off. Although I'll tell you, I was working that fight. I was there for it.
Really?
Yeah. I was working a spotlight and screamed to one of the guys in the headset. I think he just bit his ear, right?
That's amazing.
As it happened. I'm thinking about Mike Tyson because think about his career, right? He would put everybody down in the first round. He would just beat them silly and knock them out. Nobody ever really landed a punch on Mike. He probably never had anybody really punch him in training either. And then what happened the first time he really got hit by Buster, down he went, right? He never had the challenge He might have challenged himself, can I lift more weight? He might have challenged himself, can I punch harder? But he never had the challenge of a competitor that gave him a run for his money.
He was so good.
And then a competitor came along and actually connected with him. All of a sudden, his whole world fell apart because he never had the challenge, which then would have brought the growth. And because he didn't have the challenge and didn't have the growth, life ended up to suck.
I think if I was in a boxing match, not to digress, but I like to digress.
Sure,
I'd
we
have
do that.
two strategies. One,
Run.
no, not run. One.
sorry.
One. I would give it hell for 45 seconds. Or two, I would do absolutely nothing and hope the other guy got worn out.
There you go.
What would you do?
I would probably have to go for that second strategy myself and hope I could just survive their barrage.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would land enough blows that would do anything in 45 seconds except make me look foolish.
Okay. So when I wrote this quote, a life without problems, a life without challenge, a life without challenge, is a life without growth, a life without growth
Sucks.
I wrote that I was having a lot of personal growth happening right now, mental, business growth. I'm trying to figure things out was the gist of it.
Sure.
And I said, hey, it's really painful. And one of the reasons it's painful is because I feel like I'm failing every day. I feel like at the end of the day that I'm disappointing a lot of people. I'm not doing it on purpose.
Yep.
But I do feel like quitting some days. I do feel like eating cake. I feel like at the end of the day, I'm running out of time. And as I reflect on that, it's easy to get stuck in this spiral of feeling like things are bad.
Yes.
But the other side of that perspective is I also feel like I'm making progress. I feel like I'm changing lives. I feel like we're doing good in the world.
Yep.
I feel like I'm surrounded by amazing, supporting people and partners and friends. They make my journey less lonely.
Yep.
I also feel grateful. And I feel like I'm pushing through some of these insecurities and fears.
Yep.
So here's the question.
Okay.
Do you relate to any of that?
All of it.
All of it.
Anybody who can't relate to that, they're not pushing themselves. They're not challenging. They're not growing. Their life probably actually, if they looked at it and stepped back, might suck. Because, Ben, I don't think you said anything here that's not obvious. At every time, we're probably disappointing somebody. I mean, there are times I've disappointed, whether it's family, whether it's close friends, whether it's Nita, whether it's you, whether it's our audience. I'm always disappointing somebody with something. The question is, can I learn from it? Because it's not, as you say here, on purpose. It's something that just happens. I want cake. I want cake too. I ate cookies today. I'm admitting that on the podcast. My wife sent cookies. It's holiday time while we're recording this. My wife sent cookies. Yes, they ended up in front of me. I ended up eating some. Okay. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm going to grow through that challenge as I'm on my health journey and understand that that's just a challenge that I can learn from, which gives me growth, which gives me stronger willpower or better choices to make moving forward. But I want to ask you a question. You talked about that downward spiral. You are such a big thinker. You are somebody with the right mindset, Ben, that even when you go into one of those downward spirals where you feel like you're disappointing people, where you feel like you're letting people down, that you're failing all the time, there's that voice in the back of your head. I know you well enough to know that even though you're going downward, there's a voice that's telling you you're going down for a reason and you'll come out stronger. There are people out there who don't have that voice in the back of their head. They're listening to this right now, Ben, and they're on a downward spiral. Oh, man, the year has started already. Oh, I've already broken my resolution. Oh, I had too much cake over the holidays. Oh, I did that thing and I said the wrong thing. How do you talk to someone who's on a downward spiral that doesn't have the self-talk in their own head to know that it could be a positive journey in the long run?
I don't know if I have any wisdom for them, Chad. I'll tell you what I've done for me personally.
Okay.
Earlier in my career, I would wait till I hit the bottom to pull myself out. And that just means the journey's that much further.
Yes.
So what I started doing, since I can't eliminate the stress or the feeling like failing or the feeling lonely or these other things, I can't stop it. That's what I've learned. Something I can't control. I can control how long I'm on that spiral. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to notice when things are starting to shift directions so that I can do something about it much quicker.
Okay. So rule 1, when you're in a ditch, to get out of the ditch, rule 1 is stop digging.
Yeah. Well
Right.
said.
Thank you.
Yeah. Notice that you're in the ditch.
Yes.
Stop
digging so that you
Right.
can work your way back out of it. Okay.
Seems reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else do you do for you to help you when you're in a spiral that they might be able to take away?
I ask myself a question. Normally, that's the end of the sentence. I ask myself a question.
Okay.
Not always the same question. So I don't have some profound question coming out right here. Just
Okay,
I
so
ask
it's not
myself
some
a
brilliant
question.
one question.
No.
It depends on the situation.
So the question might be, what can I do to feel better today?
Yes.
I'm going to disappoint 10 people today. Who's the one person I don't want to disappoint? What can I do about that?
Like that.
I can only get one thing done today, and I have 20 things to do. Which is the one thing should I get done?
Okay.
Just asking yourself that question so that you get clarity on what you could do.
I like that.
What would make me feel better? Well, maybe getting some sleep.
Yep.
Maybe eating something.
Going for a walk. Getting
Taking a
outdoors.
break.
Going
Right.
and seeing a friend specific, whatever.
Yeah. Reaching out. Listen to some music. Like, what would just give me a 5 or 10 minute break from my spiral so I can recover out of it? Simple things.
Okay.
Kind of things we do in the 15-point plan podcast.
Yep.
Right? Any one of those would work.
Okay.
It probably takes 5 minutes to break yourself out of a spiral. Just a course correction.
Yep.
So to speak. I had a friend called me the other day, and she was having a hard time.
Okay.
And she said, I'm really, really struggling. I'm worried about this, and I'm worried about this, and I'm worried about this. And she went on to 4 or 5 different things. So I stopped and I said, can I ask you a question? She said, of course. And I said, what are you looking forward to? When this whole thing is over, what are you looking forward to? And she stopped. And she said, you know what? When this whole thing's done, I'm going to go to the beach. I said, awesome. Which beach? I'm going to go to this one. What are you going to do? I'm going to read a book. I'm going to lay there. I'm going to get some sun. When do you think you're going to be able to do that? She said, I said, that's awesome. You should put it on your calendar. And I said, I got to go. So I left. Phone call. 2 days later, she messaged me back and says, for the last 2 days, I felt better. And I said, why? She said, because I started thinking about things I could look forward to instead of all the things that are going wrong.
That's great.
I said, like the beach? She said, yep. I said, are you still going? She said, yep. That was a 5-minute course correction where I simply asked a question. I understand all these things are going bad and she was worried about a lot of stuff, but it was easy for me to simply say, well, what are you looking forward to?
It's a great lesson right there. Right? It just takes 3 to 5 minutes of doing something to stop that spiral from happening.
Or it takes, a friend around you that's willing to ask you a course correcting question.
Sometimes we can't do it ourselves. We have to have those friends that show up in our world that will ask the hard question.
Yeah.
Or actually a pretty easy question in this case, yet they know it needs to be asked.
Yeah.
All right. Ben, I got good news and I got bad news. Which one do you want first?
Ooh, bad news.
Bad news? All right. The bad news, Ben, we're almost at the end of season 2 of the Win, Make, Give podcast.
No kidding. How many episodes in season 2?
There will be 100 episodes in season 2 to match the 100 episodes of season 1. That means we're coming up on episode 200 in the very near future for Win,
Wow.
Make, Give.
Dave said we're just about at 1 million total listens.
Well, now you took away my good news.
Oh, was that the good news?
That was my good news. We're almost at 1 million listens. So
Wow.
the question right now is, who can you share this with, audience, that'll help break their spiral, that'll help have them ask the questions to figure out that a life without problems is a life without challenge, and a life without challenge is a life without growth. And Ben, a life without growth
Sucks.
sucks.
Just sucks.
Win, Make, Give does not suck. That is for sure. And our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Win, Make, Give, is where the conversation continues. And Bob, we know we started 2022 without you, yet we know we can't make it through 2022 without you. So hurry back from wherever the heck it is you are that is not here so that you can join us on all the future episodes in season 2. And maybe we'll even bring you back for season 3, Bob. You'll have to all stay tuned to find out if that happens. Until our next episode, do good.